Welcome back to part 2 of my top 20 lessons of 2020. I hope you enjoyed part 1. On Monday, I had my first several lessons of 2020. I want to break this in to 2 episodes. So happy New Year's Eve. Tomorrow is New Year's. Oh, man, who else is as pumped as I am for 2021? Anyone? Anyone else is as pumped as I am for 2020? I know I can hear you like celebrating, like, yes, 2020 can't end soon enough. Well, my friends, today is the last day of 2020. So adios, amigos, to 2020. Let's welcome in 2021. I'm super fired up. But before we do that, let me conclude this episode. And this will be the last episode of 2020. And it is indeed my last episode. It's called My Top 20 Lessons of 2020, and this is the last part. So without further ado, let's continue the conversation with my top 20 lessons of 2020. Number 11. You're going to laugh at this one. Homeschooling does not work. Can I get an amen to that, please? It does not work. I'm sorry. I want kids back in school. Kids need to be back in school. I get it. Teachers, I love you. Thank you for what you're doing online. I know the learning curve is quick, but man, oh man, I see my kids. We got 3 very good students here, and I come out and they're like lounging around and they're in their birthday suit and it's like, guys, come on. And these are good students. And man, I'll tell you what. Kids need school. And I can't tell you the number of conversations right now that I've had with kids who are really struggling. As a matter of fact, struggling so much that some of these kids have picked up some really bad habits. And I've had some tough conversations on phones with kids literally around the country who have either picked up drinking or smoking, gotten into some bad habits, or they were doing that and it's gotten worse. And guys, we're talking 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who are bored, they're down, they're depressed, and they're empty. This is a problem. This is a real problem that we face. School needs to get back. Now, I get it. I understand the severity of COVID-19 and the pandemic that we're in. I understand that. But man, oh man, I hope with this vaccine that it over the next month or 2 can really make a big change so that our kids by this spring can get back into school. Now, I know some kids are back in school. I know there's some private schools here. Heck, I spoke at Christian high school a few months ago. They're back in school. And the great news is that they're doing great. And those kids are thriving. Kids, I don't think they're ever going to complain about being back in school again when they're back in school, because if they remember this time of how empty it is and how lonely it is and how you miss your friends, got to get kids back in school. So parents, thank you for hanging in there. I know it tests your patience. And once again, teachers, thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I understand the concerns. I hope that we can get back to school so you guys can get back to doing what you do best. I know I miss being on the field with our kids like every teacher and coach out there does as well. So kids need live school. Can I get an amen to that, please? Number 12, in tough times, you find out a lot about people. You find out what they're made of. Their character gets revealed. In 2020, I found out a lot about people, not just at Fitness Quest 10, but across the globe. Some people broke, and that's okay. It's okay to be broken. It's okay to be broken. Let me repeat that. It is okay. But you find out a lot about people, but you also find out that sometimes when you're broken, you're most blessed. Let me repeat that. Sometimes you find out when you're most broken, you're most blessed. And if you can look at that as an opportunity to tap into the faith again, I realized even at Fitness Quest 10, my teammates, Jeff and Kira and Lisa and Julie and Jess and Zach and Jesse and Pat Jack and Ryan Rogers and Jeff King and Jen Moore, Melanie Rogers, Teddy Bristol, Meg, Lynn, Everett, Brooke, Frank, Larry. It goes on and on and on and on. All my teammates. And I certainly didn't mention all of them, but you find out a lot about them. And let me tell you what, those people I just mentioned, in the trenches, finding ways to get it done. And it ain't easy. It ain't easy. It's not easy for them. It's not easy for me. We've got mastermind coaches, Jared and Kelly, and Bob and Larry and Frank. I mean, leading dozens of people and helping me help save gyms. We've got hundreds of mastermind members who are fighting like mad, literally fighting like mad to save their studios, to save their people, to save their gyms. And there's gyms that are closing. I'm like, no, this industry is positioned well for a resurgence in 2021 because health and fitness will come back stronger than ever. People need it now more than ever before. And I'll talk about my predictions here in early 2021. But man, I've learned so many people are in your corner. I've also learned in 2020 people that have done it the wrong way. People who took the PPP in round one and basically did nothing with that and took advantage of the system and ultimately go their own way. I get that. I get it. Guys, there's been a lot of good. There's been some bad, and there's been some ugly in 2020. Matter of fact, part of my 2021 roadmap, part 2 of my 3-part annual roadmap strategic plan, part 2 was looking back, a look back, the good, the bad, the ugly. What was the bad? What was the ugly? And at first I was like, man, I don't feel like going back and looking at the bad and the ugly. But actually you realize it actually makes you better. It actually makes you smarter. When you spend a little time, it's like, okay, this person's character got revealed. This isn't the kind of person I want in the foxhole when the bullets are flying. Who do I want in the foxhole when the bullets are flying? I want mind right maniacs. I want fire breathing dragons who, when the going get tough, the tough get going. You find ways to double down on whatever your purpose is. That you put your faith in God and say, you know what? Whatever comes my way, God's never let me down, and He's not going to let me down again. I have to persist and get through this. That doesn't mean bad things aren't going to happen. They are, and they will continue to happen in 2021. Bad things will happen, but how you react and respond to them is absolutely important. Who you surround yourself with has never been more important. See, some of these lessons are within lessons, and I'm still on number 12 here, but who you surround yourself with is absolutely essential. So those names I listed are some of the fire-breathing dragons who are in my inner circle, both at Fitness Quest 10, in Todd Durkin Enterprises, and in this TDE community as you listen in. Bottom line is, do things the right way. I always ask my kids, do it the right way. Did you do it the right way? I don't care if I'm looking or not. Okay, there's a teacher, coach, look, do it the right way. Did you do it the right way? And if the answer is no, then you got to correct it. 2020, there's a lot of things that did not get done the right way. Get back, course correct, get back on the path, and let's get going. Number 13, you got to stay lean in your business. You got to stay lean. What does it mean, lean? I'm not talking about lean like you got to decrease your percentage of body fat, train more, although it's good to train more, which will actually result in lower body fat. Lean means, I'll tell you what it did for us at Fitness Quest 10, it leaned us out. Guys, I lost some people. We had 40-something people as of March 2020. And man, we lost some people. Some people moved away. Some people I had to let go. We had to furlough a bunch of people. Some people quit. Like, again, there's times of change. But the biggest thing is 2020 in business has leaned a lot of businesses out in a really good, positive way. I mean, I look back, I'm like, man, our overhead was way too high. I was carrying too much overhead. I had to trim some excess fat. And like all of you, I hate having to let people go. I don't like firing people. It's probably the worst thing I do. But sometimes when you look at it, especially in the midst of a pandemic, you got to do things that you're like, I got to save the business. I got to make sure that we continue to have life after this is all done on that. I realized that, our expenses were too high. Our payroll was too high. I had to cut even some simple costs and some subscriptions, and like, hey, why am I carrying 8 phone lines when we're not even operating right now, or I have, direct TV running when we don't have anything going on the inside. We can at least temporarily put those subscriptions down, or renegotiate contracts, or talk to your landlord about, hey, landlord, like, we're really, really hurting right now. We're closed down in April, May, and June. There's not a lot of people coming in. Unfortunately, many of our people at Fitness Quest 10 stuck by our sides. But the bottom line was we certainly were negatively impacted, financially negatively impacted, and have to just quote, survive this time, get through this time so we can fight like mad. Now, this is real talk. So if you own a business, you understand if you work for a business, it's an all-in effort right now to this day in December 2020, in even what is some of our darkest days. If you're in a restaurant business, my goodness gracious, how do you even know how much food to order? One day you're open, one day you're closed. You're open, you're closed, and you're trying to serve people. When I'm realizing this, and I've said this for years, and it's funny how true it is. You always, bigger isn't better, better is better. Bigger isn't better, better is better. Right now, it's good to be small. It's good to be small, and it's good to be lean. You could appear to be big, but you got to keep it lean. That means you also have to learn some new skill sets. I had to learn new skill sets in 2020 because I had to let go of some people that helped me with some of my roles, both at Fitness Quest 10 and TDE. So that actually was a good thing. I actually welcomed learning some of the X's and O's of how to actually do things on my own with not having help all over the place. So of course your team is important, but sometimes you got to lean out and find a way to get it done. And there's a really good thing called Google. Pretty much Google has every answer you need, right? So you can always Google thing. Bottom line, and I think it's Ken Blanchard that talks about this in the $1 million entrepreneur. I think that's the name of the book, but it was like, you got to drive revenues, you got to control expenses. How do you drive revenues out? How do you control expenses? Number one, you got to control expenses. You got to have, again, every contract and everything, every expense you have to look at line item by line item. Can it be deleted or not? Is it a value? Is it an investment of either that's going to drive sales, or an investment in my health, or an investment in my growth that's going to put me in a position to thrive in 2021? And how do I drive revenues? What can I create once again that's going to actually drive revenues, right? So that's number 13. Number 14, you got to stay mission focused and purpose driven. You got to stay mission focused and purpose driven. So let me ask you that question. What is your purpose? What is your mission? I can honestly say my mission in the last 9 months, specifically the last 6 months, when I'm like, my head was finally on right. I'm like, okay, save lives, change lives, create impact. Save lives, change lives, create impact. I said that earlier in the show, but that mantra got me up. Who am I going to save today? Matter of fact, on this podcast right now, I want to hear from you of like, hey, if this is speaking life into you, man, like save lives, change lives, create impact. Come up with a mantra that you can use that's going to allow you to continue to get through the day. Because what I found also is you got to get through the day. Yeah, you got to be purpose driven. You got to know where you're going. You got to plan on where you're going. But it comes down to the domination of the day. The domination of the day. Physically and mentally, what can I do today to serve my mission and to serve my purpose? My purpose in life, guys, and as you know, I've talked about this, is to motivate and inspire millions of people to greatness, one by one, and to create maximum impact. So if I know I want to impact 10 million lives in my lifetime, I know it comes down to one by one conversations just like this on this podcast in late December 2020 on my top lessons of you spreading this, you sharing this, and you impact 100 or 1,000 lives because of that message that was spread. What's your purpose? What do you love to do? What do you need to do more of? What is it? And that could possibly involve you pivoting, changing, right? And we talked about pivoting and changing earlier on, but I asked you that question of what changes do you need or want to make in 2021? It's coming here. This end of this week, it's coming. It's coming. So, Friday, January 1st, 2021, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You've got to have this desire to serve your purpose at all costs. Don't be driven by just the numbers. I talked about numbers, and they're important because you got to stay in quote business, but it always comes down to your purpose at all costs, which leads me to number 15. You're going to laugh at this one. Plan or don't plan. Should you plan your life or should you not plan your life? That's a question. And the reason why is it's a lesson. It's a lesson this year because my wife said, Melanie asked me, are you going to do that annual roadmap again? Because when you look back at 2020, whatever you did for your 2020 annual roadmap and strategic plan, are you going to do that again? And the answer is absolutely 100% yes. Of course, I'm going to do that again. Well, why? Why would you do that? Because your 2020 roadmap got absolutely obliterated by the pandemic. Well, funny enough, when I look back on my 2020 roadmap, it was done late December of 2019 and early 2020. Guess what my theme was? Guess what my theme was for 2020 this year? It was get your mind right. Very applicable. You laugh, but that's the truth. That was my theme. When I look at my big five for 2020, I reflect on my big five for 2020. These are the five things I want to get done in 2020. Although COVID did impact this stuff, I wanted to sell 25,000 copies of Get Your Mind Right. I wanted to have a podcast deliver great value to people globally and have over 200,000 downloads. I want to have a gala, a Fitness Quest 10 gala for our 20th anniversary. I want to have an impact transformation contest. And my fifth and final one is I had put some lifestyle goals down there. Like I want to have an adventure ski trip in Park City, Utah, my favorite place on the planet. I want to take a big trip between December 20th and 30th of 2020 with my entire family. I want to have 2 trips with Luke and Brady to East Coast colleges. I wanted a 4-day trip with Melanie. Why do I share that with you? Because guess what? Some of them came true, but some of them didn't. On that, guys, while we fell just shy of 25,000 copies of Get Your Mind Right, thank you if you bought a copy. The year is not over, and the audio copy is coming out here the end of January 2021. The audio version is coming out, and I believe within 1 year's time, we'll have over 50,000 copies sold because it came out at a very, very weird, crazy time in June of 2020, in the darkest of days that this world has seen in hundreds of years. Get Your Mind Right came out. The podcast delivered over 300,000 downloads because of people like you listening in this year alone. So thank you to each and every one of you for not only listening, but for sharing it and for spreading that impact. The gala did not happen because of the pandemic. The Impact Transformation Contest did not happen. It'll happen in 2021. And several of the lifestyle things did happen. I did get a 4-day trip with Melanie to Big Sur and Carmel in 2020. I took one trip back east in June of 2020 with Luke and Brady to visit William and Mary and Davidson, where Luke ultimately committed to Davidson. And we will not be traveling the end of this year because of the pandemic. But guys, I believe planning is imperative. It's like going into a football game without a game plan. That would be ludicrous. That would be a really dumb thing to do if you go into a game without a game plan. I believe that even when life throws you curveballs, when you have a plan, you can call some Omahas, some audibles to help you do that. So a plan gives you direction. It gives you guidance, a focus, and it should provide you with motivation, excitement. Guys, my 2021 annual roadmap and strategic plan, I've been working on it for several weeks now since sitting in the LaZyBoy chair. I am so fired up for the changes, the pivots, the things I'm going to double down on at Fitness Quest 10 and in TDE and in this podcast and what I'm going to be doing to impact the world. It fires me up. And if I didn't spend a few hours really dreaming and thinking about that, then it's less likely to happen. So yes, I will I already done my 2021 plan. And I encourage you to spend time doing that as well. And when you do that, I promise you, even if the pandemic continues for longer than you desire, you're going to have a game plan on what you can do to continue to live your purpose as well. Number 16 of 20, we're almost there. Stay in the now, but be driven by the future. Stay in the now, but be driven by the future. So what does that mean? Stay in the now. Again, one of the lessons I learned is you just got to dominate the day. You got to win today. You got to win today. Every single day has its ups and downs. Can I get an amen on that? Like you could be having a great day and then you get a phone call that you got exposed to COVID, or someone you know got exposed to COVID, or a family you know has COVID, or your son or daughter has COVID, or you have COVID. And like all of a sudden, like it goes from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows and all over the place. I think it's really important to stay in the now, to breathe and to relax. And regardless of how, quote, bad the news may be, the news that you just received, it's okay. It's going to be okay. Breathe, relax, stay in faith, be driven by tomorrow. The sun's coming up. I can't tell you how many times I said to myself, take a breath. The sun's coming up tomorrow. Guys, to this day, every day, there are dark moments in every single day. I hear news that could be downright depressing. And the only thing that you have hope for is like, okay, Tomorrow's going to be better. I got the sun coming up. I'm going to live my purpose. I'm going to impact a life. All the lessons I'm sharing. So number 17, every day, allocate 2 to 3 hours of uninterrupted time to do work that matters. Do work that matters. I don't know, maybe this should have been number 1, because every day you have the opportunity to sit in front of a TV and watch CNN or Fox or whatever you listen to and watch for hours and hours. Or you can actually not put the TV on, not put your phone on, and actually do work that matters. So what is the work that matters most to you? What's the biggest game changer that you're working on? What are the gifts that you have that you want to double down on? What is it for you? Now, I've shared before my 4-quadrant high performance grid. When you're in quadrant 2, you're doing work that matters. Your PQO, your prolific quality outputs. For me, this is one of them. Doing podcast is one of my PQOs. 60% of my time, I want to be doing work that matters. PQO, recording podcasts, putting out quality social media that's going to make a difference. Writing is a PQO for me, a prolific quality output. 60, not 80, 60% of your time in a day has to be done in your PQO. That's 2 to 3 hours of doing work that matters. So what's the work that matters for you the most? What is it in your life that matters the most? Doing work and coaching in my mastermind is part of my PQO. Mentoring my team at Fitness Quest 10 is a PQO. And again, training is a PQO for me. I love when I'm actually training people, when I'm in the trenches live, not on Zoom. I like live training. It's a PQO. So what are your PQOs, your prolific quality outputs, the work that you do that no one else can do like you? Allocate 2 to 3 hours a day doing that. And in chapter 3 and 4 of my book, Get Your Mind Right, I actually give my entire system. If you haven't read Get Your Mind Right, get it. And read the whole book. But chapters 3 and 4, I actually go through my complete system that talks about allocating your time, energy, and focus on the things that matter most. Because many times in a world of distraction, we get distracted so quickly that it takes us off what we need to be doing, and like work that doesn't matter, like scrolling social media. That's something that when I looked at my habits, I'm like, I need to do a better job at not just scrolling social media in my downtimes or just answering emails. Nothing wrong with doing those things, but you can't do it at times of the day when you are actually feeling your most vibrant. As a matter of fact, as I record this right now, I'm looking at the clock. It's 10:45 in the morning. I just worked out a little while ago because my best work happens between 9 and noon. I work out in the morning. I eat a really good breakfast. Today it was eggs and oatmeal. And then I crutched into my home office here, not the LaZyBoy. I've been spending a lot of time on that. And right now I'm recording the podcast. You got to do your work that matters most during times of the day when you're most vibrant and have the most vitality. And for me, that's that 9 to 12 window as well. Number 18 of 20, the power of a LaZyBoy. The power of a LaZyBoy. Well, as you know, I got a LaZyBoy. I rented a LaZyBoy for 2 months. Last time it was a month. Melanie allowed me to get a 2-month of LaZyBoy because Dr. Jenko said that this rehab was going to be harder than the first one. Now, I don't know if that's true or not because I'm actually doing better than the first time, but the power of sitting your booty down in a chair and doing work that matters. Journaling, writing, game planning. I guess you could also say if you don't have a LaZyBoy, don't want a LaZyBoy, because I'm getting rid of my LaZyBoy in probably what will be February on this, is the power of slowing down. The power of slowing down and tapping into your whispers. Chapter 9 of my Get Your Mind Right book, I talk about, tapping into your whispers. What's God telling you that you need to do? This is where the rubber meets the road. We talk about fork in the road moments. Check out, last week's podcast, Fork in the Road Moments. When you're at a fork, what you really got to do is you got to pray about it, and you got to tap into that. Is like, what are you being called to do? How are you calling to serve right now? What are you willing to give up to go up? So what must you do? What are you willing to give up to go up? When you put this down in your journal, you think about this, it forces you to have quiet time. And maybe you ask yourself this question, not sitting a lazy boy. It's kind of a metaphor of slowing down, getting quiet time. Maybe it's on your walk. Maybe it's on your run of like, you look at your life and what can I do to continually improve my life and better serve the purpose of that. I just say the power of slowing down or the power of a lazy boy is extremely powerful. Number 19 of 20. We almost there. Number 19, you gotta double down on your health. If anything, 2020 has taught me, it's all about your health. It's all about your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual health. All of them matter. Now, when you think about it's the only thing that matters, your health, I've said this before, but has it ever meant something more important? I say this: he or she who has their health has 1,000 dreams. He or she who does not has one, their health. Guys, we've had hundreds of thousands of people lose their lives because of COVID-19. We've had many people lose lives of other things. And again, I know many people in our community, close to my community, with non-COVID-19 related deaths. It's all about health. It's all about health. And when you think about it, we are in the midst of a pandemic and it's real and it's serious. And we need to do our jobs of everything that the CDC is encouraging us to do with wearing masks and keeping our social distance. But for me as a coach, how do I double down on my immunity? How do I double down on my energy and my vitality and my strength of all different things? Is there an epic hike that you want to take? Is there a trip that's going to be rugged with terrain that's going to challenge you, that's going to force you to train for that? Can you put it on the calendar so that in June or July or August of 2021, you're going to take an epic adventure vacation to somewhere that's going to require you to be in the best health possible? Maybe it's going on a long trek or a hike, whatever that may be. Possibly you have to hire a trainer or a coach because you're not that, and you need the accountability and the motivation right now because you're really struggling with that. Then take those steps now because your health matters most. Possibly you need a life coach to help you frame up not only your physical health, but also the direction of your life. And when you look at your purpose and your passions and you're trying to align all of this, what are the steps necessary? And what are the actual graduations that are going to happen to help you get to where you want to go on this? But I can't emphasize enough when I think about health right now, there's never been a more important time for health. So the lesson I learned is, man, you got to double down your physical, your nutritional, your supplementation. I've shared my supplement routine with my healing process of my knee. It's not even double down. It's like 10x and down on every single thing to make sure, number one, that I am strong, that I am healthy. So that not only can I build my immunity, but if I was to get COVID-19, that I could get through that healthfully, right? So that if you get COVID-19, that you could get through that and that your life is not compromised or your health is not compromised more than you want it to be, right? So guys, double down on that health, man. There's never been a more important time than now for your health. And number 20, again, no particular order, but I think this is really, really important. Lesson learned, and this was reminded to me every single day, is that we all need hope. We all need motivation. And we all need to get our minds right every single day. Every single day is a fight. It's a battle. We got to do the work every day, the discipline, the habits of what we need to do, who we're surrounding ourselves with, who we're not surrounding ourselves with, what we're listening to, what we're watching. All of it matters. For me too. I rest my hope. In God, and that by being obedient to my God, that I can live my purpose and I can do good to those who listen to this podcast, who get trained and coached by myself. But I do know this, is that I get motivated and inspired by tapping into my purpose, just like you get motivated and inspired by tapping into your purpose, by you taking the steps necessary to live your purpose audaciously and courageously and taking those steps now as 2021 comes upon us quickly. Perhaps when I review 2020, I don't know, maybe I've impacted 50,000 people in 2020. I don't know. Maybe it's 500,000. Maybe it's 5 million. I don't know. The bottom line is this: 2021 approaches us very, very quickly here, that I'm going to do everything I can to not only double down, but to 10x down on the impact that I'm having. Just like I'm asking you to double down or 10x down on what you're doing and what you love to do and why you do it. Whatever that takes, it's going to take more belief. It's going to take more conviction. It's going to take more courage to continue answering the bell. Boom, boom, ding, ding. Maybe you've got knocked down 8 times, then get up for the 9th time. Maybe you've been knocked down, maybe you've been knocked out. Get up, get up. You got to keep swinging. You got to keep going. You got to make the changes that are necessary. So I got one more. It's an and then some. It's not over. I got the last one, and then I'm going to have an action step for all of you today. Is this my and then some? Is out of all of my 20 lessons, and again, in some ways it's been a good year. In some ways it's been a tough year, a bad year. And in some ways it's been an ugly year. But the bottom line, and perhaps the greatest lesson I can share, I guess it would be my 21st lesson I share out of the probably hundreds of sub lessons within these 20 lessons, is that regardless of circumstance, regardless of what's happened, is you always got to fight like mad to stay in gratitude. Got to stay in gratitude. Got to stay in gratitude. And the reason I share this is because I had a client this fall come up to me and said, Todd, I'm really struggling with being in gratitude. You keep talking about being in gratitude. How the heck am I supposed to be in gratitude? And he said, there's been so much bad. There's been loss. And just, he went on and on about how do you find gratitude in this time? It's not a time of gratitude. And I think about what Pastor Miles McPherson said many moons ago. He said, listen, I don't care how bad you've had it. Someone's got it way worse than you. And that's a great perspective, is because sometimes you don't think anyone has it as bad as you, but there's always someone that has it worse than you. The fact that you're listening to this mere podcast right now means that someone's got it way worse than you. You're listening to a podcast, and whether you're doing your dishes, whether you're cooking, whether you're out for a workout right now, you're driving, you're in a plane, wherever you are, what are you grateful for? Find the blessings in the burdens. Find the blessings now in the burdens. When you write down every single day in your journal, I have right here in my home office, what are your greatest blessings now? I write down every single day. I got Melanie, Luke, Brady, McKenna. I got a new knee, gosh darn it. I got a darn new knee. 2021 is going to be good. I got Fitness Quest 10, my community. I got all of you mind right maniacs, all you fire-breathing dragons lighting me up. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all the people in my life. Got some incredible mentors and people I surround myself with. I've got clients I train virtually. I've got my mastermind. These are trainers and coaches. I mean, the most passionate fire-breathing dragons on the planet who are convicted to save lives. I'm grateful for them. They fire me up as much as I fire them up. I've got so many wonderful organizations that I associate with and have stuck by me in the toughest of times. I mean, I just renewed working with Under Armour. I started working with Under Armour in 2006. Started working with Under Armour. I mean, that's 14, almost 15 years. TRX and Carnison and MyZone. These are folks I work with closely. And through 2020, even the darkest of days, continue doing work with. And Theragun, Almond Board. Y'all know I love almonds. Those darn chocolate-covered almonds are still killing me. But man, Perform Better. Virtual talks with Perform Better and Can Fit Pro and Idea and keynoting. I love you guys. Bubs Naturals. We'll start working with Bubs this year, and Morgan Stanley and Meeting Planners International. I can go on. But when I think about gratitude, I came out of my journal and said, I'm grateful for these people, because behind every company, there's people. Behind the company that you work for, whether you own it, you work at it, there's people, and people matter most. And I end today with saying thank you to you. Thank you to you. And whether this is your first podcast that you've listened to, thank you. for listening. Or perhaps this is like the 145th podcast episode that you've listened to since we started this bad boy, the Todd, Durkin Impact Show. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It feels so good to stand here. I don't have crutches in my hand. I don't have a walker in my hand. I've got a new knee. And I say thank you. I thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up. And it's been darn hard to show up these days. I get it. With over 300,000 downloads in 2020 of the podcast, people like you showing up and sharing and doing that to spread positivity impact. That's why I invest time every week. My team and I, between Zach and Jess and Julie and Amelia-Ann, all doing. These are people I'm grateful for showing up. What a year it's been. What a year it's been, 2020. In so many ways, I can't wait to kick you out of here, bad boy. Like, I'm going to kick and scratch and say, get out of here, 2020. But as much as I want to do that, I want to say thank you, 2020. You taught me some great darn lessons I'll never forget. When I reflect upon this podcast episode, and again, probably had to cut this bad boy into 2 episodes because it's so darn long, is that I'm ready to say adios, amigos, 2020. Thank you for the lessons, but I do know this, 2021 is just days away, and I can't wait for 2021. So join me in a big farewell to 2020. Bye-bye, 2020 and 2021. Thank you for being here, 2021. I welcome you. We welcome you with big open arms. We realize we're in a fight starting out here in January, February, March, but I know what the mindset, the get your mind right maniac mindset, all my little fire-breathing dragon friends, that we got our mind right. And for the next few months, we got to stay strong. And there is a glimmer of light that is shining and showing. Let's continue to show up, and let's be ready for an incredible, extraordinary 2021. Thank you so much. Peace. God bless you guys. And Happy New Year. Woo! Let's go, baby. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I really enjoyed reflecting and looking back on 2020, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Do me a favor. Upon your reflection of 2020, what were one of your top lessons? Maybe you have 2 or 3 that you like to share. I want to hear them. I want you to share them. Share them on your social media and tag me. I want you to share your top lessons. After listening to this, I know all of us have had many lessons. And when you stop and reflect upon those lessons, you're going to realize that 2020 did have some value and perhaps some gifts. Perhaps some gifts were unraveled in 2020 that are going to allow you to thrive in 2021. So I'd love to hear what those are. Your top 1, 2, or even 3 gifts, blessings that you had, the biggest lessons you had in 2020. Please share them on your social media. Again, thank you so much for everything that you've done throughout 2020. It's been one heck of a year from all of the 90 days straight of the Good News Network to this very last episode of 2020 with my top lessons of 2020. I hope you have an incredible rest of your holiday. And once again, to you and your family, on behalf of all of the Durkins here in San Diego, California, wherever you are around the globe, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.